By now, we're probably all familiar with the more blatant symbols of the series: the umbrellas, the high-wheeler bicycle, Rover, the Butler, and so on. While the T theme can probably be attributed to the fact that this is a British series, these other symbols have been consciously woven into the fabric of the show to tell us something, either about the prisoner, the village, or about ourselves. Take the Butler, for instance, the mysterious midget who most often delivers the tea. He never speaks, although we're never told he's mute. That's just our assumption. His job is to serve the power, and he does so with admirable loyalty and efficiency. Perhaps he's supposed to represent the little person in society, the one whom the state theoretically exists to protect, but who, in this microcosm called the village, ends up serving the state instead. Or perhaps the butler is number one. We get many clues to support this theory. Aside from the prisoner, the butler alone wears no badge and has no number, and he's always at the scene of significant action. And while we never hear him speak, we know number one only as a voice on the phone, a voice that never calls when the butler is around. Perhaps we've overlooked the butler, both figuratively and literally, as the prime candidate for number one. The final episode is full of clues to this effect, and it seems somehow to fit McGowan's dry British wit that after 17 episodes of mystery and torture, we finally discover that the butler did it. Another fascinating symbolic character in this allegorical series is Rover, although it wasn't until the Schizoid Man episode did we learn that the Great White Village Ball had a name. Rover. It reinforces what we've seen repeatedly, this huge globe acting as a guard dog or watchdog of the village. But what is Rover made of? Is it biological or technological? Is it capable of independent thought and action? Does it drink tea? Well, we have some clues, but not many. We know that Rover resides at the bottom of the village bay, for instance, merging with the ground when not in use. We know it's activated by the control room, but how is it controlled? In Free For All, we see a very quick shot of a group of men sitting around Rover in a cave. Are they just observing it or controlling it? Could they be think tank engineers studying Rover to redesign it for increased efficiency? Or does Rover study men? In the Schizoid Man, we see more of Rover's functions and some of its limitations. It can be fooled, for instance, into chasing an empty moving car instead of its intended victim. Does Rover respond to motion? Is that why number 2 in the first episode orders the villagers to freeze when Rover appears? We also see that Rover can make mistakes. It identifies the wrong number 6 in Schizoid Man and accidentally kills him. But that's all we really know about Rover, except that it seems to act in direct proportion to the amount of resistance it meets. Like a Chinese finger puzzle, the more you struggle, the harder it is to get away. Because we viewers recognize Rover as a weather balloon, we assume it's hollow. But what if it's really solid? A lump of semi-intelligent protoplasm like a giant amoeba? This might explain its shape-shifting abilities, as well as its ability to withstand direct bullet hits without popping. And if this were the case, Rover could have some connection with the ever-present lava lamps in the village. They might be a reminder of the police power of Rover, or maybe even incubators for fetal rovers. The symbolism connected to Rover is interesting too. White is usually associated with purity, and a circle or globe is usually a symbol of wholeness or perfection. In Rover, these symbolic meanings are reversed. What appears good is evil. What appears harmless is deadly. In the village, even symbols aren't what they appear. But overanalyzing the symbology of Rover might not count for much. Originally, Rover was supposed to be a little white car that would climb walls, skim the water, and herd people around. But the production crew just could not get the radio-controlled device to work properly. In its first scene, it ran right off the dock, fell into Port Merion Bay, and sank. The white weather balloon known as Rover was a brilliant last-minute substitution for the village police car.